Okay, I'm going to try again. Hopefully the mic will work this time. I've changed mics, so I obviously haven't set it up properly. As you all know, I am fucking useless with tech. Fucking hell. Beard's getting quite big, isn't it? What do you reckon? Split it? I don't know. Anyway, I can't fucking leave it like that. What I was talking about was training partners and spotting. And then I went on to ramble about a few other things like I usually do. And how a spot or a training partner can both be an asset and a hindrance. Now, the thing is with these things, they need work. They need development. A training partner has to learn how you train and how you like to be spot in the same way that you have to do the return for your training partner. But to me, they are a massive benefit. I've trained on my own, and I always grow better when I have a training partner. One of the reasons is first of all, a commitment. You're not just letting yourself down if you don't go and turn up for training. You're now letting your training partner down. And I admit, there's been plenty of times with my training partners, I can't make it, business, whatever it may be. And I've gone, oh, never mind, and rolled over and gone back to bed. Because I train early in the morning. But, the fact that you have to turn up for somebody else does help make sure that you go. And obviously, they're great in the sense that they can be there and they can encourage you and they can push you and they can get that little bit of extra out of you. But this doesn't happen overnight. They can also be a distraction because you're going to end up talking about all sorts of stupid shit and not really getting into the workout. So it's a relationship that takes time to develop. They need to learn you and how you train, and you, and vice versa, need to learn them. Now, my training partner, Dom, we've known each other 37 years. And he knows my fuck-ups. He knows my deep dark secrets. He knows my fears. Now, we exploit, I know his as well. And we deliberately tell each other these things. I mean, he is someone who I do entrust. He's one of my best friends. But yet we don't spend any time together socially. Weird, I know. But I've told him my deepest, darkest secrets. I've told him my fears, and he uses them to exploit me when we train. That works for me, but that negative reinforcement doesn't work for everybody else. Some people will be better with positive or goal-focused reinforcement. You want to achieve this, so you need to do that. You want to achieve that, so you need to do that. Well done, carry on. I'm more of a useless fat cunt. Everyone thinks you're a joke. Fuck you, I'll prove you wrong sort of approach. But it's taken Dom time to learn how to spot me. I'm very fussy when it comes to spotting, and it's just the slightest amount I'd like to keep the bar moving. I don't like to struggle to the point where I'm starting to break form, but I do like to struggle and grind reps out. And I don't like force rep after force rep after force rep. 1, maybe 2, and we're done. If I lose feel, I'm not interested in continuing with the set when it comes to force reps. And yet I see people force rep after force rep after force rep, and I'm just thinking, what the fuck are you doing? It's too much. You shouldn't need that amount of force reps. And you can go too far with these things. To me, 1, to complete that rep you're failing on, maybe another 1 depending on the exercise, and that's the end of it. Spots are good there for safety. When I break new ground, particularly with bench pressing, I like my spotter to have the hands on the bar. They don't need to do it, they don't need to move it, but I like that reassurance. I mean, I've got a completely detached left pec and I've got 2 partial tears in my right. It's not something I want to repeat, so I like the confidence that if they're there, they'll take it as soon as it goes. And that will, to a very large degree, minimise any damage that may be occurred if I get a repeat situation with a tear. Your spotters need to be on the ball. You don't want them looking at the bird's arse over there, or the guy using a load of weight over there, or checking the Facebook, or fucking picking the nose, or checking themselves out in the mirror. Your spotter needs to be focused on the task at hand, which is spotting you. And quite often they'll give you the confidence. I've seen it loads of times where just a finger on the bar and the rep's completed, but they were struggling before that. They can really help motivate and push you through a set, but they can also really help in disciplining you as well. Dom will say to me, bouncing, slow it down, hold the negative, hold it in the pause in the hold, slow it, do this, do that, do the other, shift your load, move your weight, pull back, all sorts of instructional stuff within the rep to guide me in case I'm going off boil with form, rep, speed, tempo, whatever it may be. So, but that takes time, and that takes communication, and that takes investment. Don't expect a training partner to be bang on overnight. It ain't going to happen. If they're going to be good, you're going to have to train them to how you train, and vice versa. You're going to have to learn how they train to optimize them. Some people don't like to struggle under weights. They just want it taken off them. I mean, I've spotted loads of people over the years, and I've looked at the weight they're using, and when, you sure? Oh, yeah, I do it all the time. My training partner helps me. And I end up doing an upright row on the bench. I'm deadlifting the fucking thing. And it's just, your training partner's doing you no favours. Because if you'd have gone with someone who wasn't prepared with that bar's going to come crashing down on you because you've never actually moved that weight. Your training partner always moved it for you. So they can be a hindrance, and they can be dangerous to that degree as well. And they can push you too far, which is just as bad as not pushing you enough. Talking about forced reps, they are a really useful tool to up the intensity in your workout. And a lot of people just don't go to full failure. They'll go to the rep prior to failure because they don't have that spot. And that half rep you're missing might not seem a lot, but it really does add up when it comes to building muscle. There's cheat reps you can use, but you've got to be very, very careful with them. They've got to be controlled. Obviously, a cheat rep does maximize or does increase the risk of injury, but there can be different styles of cheat reps. Partial reps, a little bit of bounce off the chest through a move, or using a bit of an explosive initial with a movement to push through the sticking point that you've got. Tricep pushdowns, leaning in, so using your body weight a bit more to get those last couple of reps out. But you've got to be careful that if you use cheat reps or you lose looser form or looser style, that you recognize it as that. You can't say, well, if you do a logbook stay workout where once you hit a certain number of reps, you increase the weight. If you cheat the last 2 reps to hit your target reps, well, you can't then say, well, that's it, I'm moving up the weight, because you haven't really completed that set in proper form, so you're not ready to move on. And when you do, this is where you start developing injuries, and your intensity starts to go, and the quality of your training starts to slip, because you're building progress on poor foundations. And then as a result, you'll start to find that you're not stimulating muscle, and you're not growing the same you were, because the weight you're moving is being moved by other means. It's being moved by skeletal load, it's being moved by tendon, it's being moved by momentum. It's not being moved by the muscle, and that's what we need to focus on doing if you're training for size. But even for strength, it has a massive impact on strength training. It just, don't con yourself, because that's all you're doing. If you count reps that aren't really reps, you count reps that have been helped by your training partner, then you're not achieving anything. You're just lying to yourself. Yeah, it's great to post online that you've done a PB, but if it wasn't really a PB because half of it was forced and supported, then what's the point? And all you're going to do is restrict your progress anyway. Keep your training honest, keep your reps honest. I mean, I'm not a big one for counting reps and sets, to be fair. I think it's a good measure, but I think we get too wrapped up in it, and I'd much rather focus on the muscle and how that's working and its stimulus than whether I completed a number of reps or sets. And, drop sets. Confuse the hell out of me to these, or should I say, the way a lot of people do them does. You'll see someone, they'll set a weight up, they'll do 10, 12 reps, they'll lower the weight, they do another 10 reps, they lower the weight, another 2 reps, lower the weight. It might be a total of 40, 50 reps in a set. And I'm sitting there thinking, how does 50 reps on a bench press grow a fucking big, thick chest? It doesn't, as far as I'm concerned. Or should I say it's not optimal? To me, a drop set is where you extend maximum work capacity for a long period of time. In other words, you are working at max effort for an extended period of time. Now, the problem with working at max effort is it's limited. You know, real heavyweights can only be viewed for a low number of reps. So how do you extend that level of intensity and that level of work for a longer period? Drop sets. For example, you start with a weight you can get 3, 4, 5 reps. And you do 1 force rep. Now, this isn't an extra rep. This is a rep that helps you complete on the rep that you fail. So you get 4 under your own steam. On the 5th rep, you fail 2 inches up from the chest on the bench press. So you're assisted to the end of that rep. Then you drop the weight and you continue for another 3, 4 reps. Then you'd fail, and then you drop the weight, and you continue for another 3, 4 reps. This way, you extend the period of time that you're working at max capacity, at max effort, and your total reps for the whole set might be 12, 15, 16 reps. But throughout that set, you failed 4 times. That's going to ramp your intensity through the roof. And that's going to be a lot more effective at building muscle mass than doing sets of 40, 50 reps where you never fail once. And you just pump like fuck. However, that is a very intense set and should be used accordingly. You don't want to be doing drop sets like that on every fucking set you do. You're soon going to burn yourself out. That is max effort. That is hard. That is particularly hard on things like back or legs. It's hard enough on something like chest. But to me, that's a drop set. Now, I see this in other things as well. It's like bent over row. The clue is in the name. You bend fucking over. Why the fuck are you stood upright? Oh, I'm doing a Yates's row. No, you're fucking not. Fuck off. Fuck off. And for us American friends, fuck off. You're not doing a Yates's row. The difference is a Yates's row is very specific on the elbow track and where the elbows go. If you're rowing up like that, that ain't a Yates's row. A Yates's row, you row back. You may be more upright, but you row back. A bent over row, you bend over. The higher you are, the higher up the back the load's going to hit. And you end up just working the back of your shoulders, which is why people struggle to build big, thick, heavy lats. Because they don't fucking bend over enough. The clue is in the name. Stiff leg deadlift. Now, I've had this argument for years. And I'm still arguing with people. To me, stiff leg deadlift means stiffed legs. It means knees locked, straight legs. You arch your lower back, you lift the chest, you keep your head up, and you bend at the hip, and you maintain that lower back position throughout the movement. This works the hamstrings. If you unlock the knees, the glutes come into play. But that's not stiff-legged. That's Romanian. Now, I've had this argument, oh no, it's not. Well, maybe it isn't or maybe it is. I don't honestly know. But as far as I'm concerned, that was how I was taught 30 years ago by the old school guys. Stiff-legged means your legs are stiff, your knees are locked. If your knees are unlocked, it's Romanian, and it's as simple as that. And you see this on lots of things. You know, the clue is in the name. To do the exercise properly, you follow the name. But like I say, it's something that I don't understand. People struggle with exercises, but they don't actually think about what the exercise is or the description of the exercise, because that's quite often will tell you how to do it. The other thing is, oh fuck, I've lost my train of thought. No, gone. Completely gone. Fuck me, I must be losing my plot. Old age, 46 now, getting on a bit. it was something about exercises, but that was it. Don't think about exercises in the way it moves. Now, I'll explain what I mean. Bench press. I've used this a lot, so we'll stick with this. Don't think about pushing the bar off your chest. Think about exercises in the way the muscle moves to complete the movement. So, target muscle on a bench press is the pectorals, chest muscles, and how do they move? Well, they pull the upper arm upwards, across, like that. So, when you bench press, think about your pec pulling your arm up. Don't think about pushing the bar away from yourself. Think about your chest pulling the arm up. When you do a pull down, don't think about grabbing a bar and pulling a bar down. Think about your back pulling your elbows down and behind your back. You start thinking about exercises and the way the muscles move, you'll get a lot better brain connection, mind-muscle connection, a lot better engagement with that exercise. So, training partners, very, very useful. Spotters, very, very useful. If you're not using a spot, then you are seriously missing out on a trick for increasing training intensity. And if you're having to grab guys that are randomly in the gym, just explain to them how you want it done. Pick somebody that looks like they've got a half a fucking brain cell. Pick somebody that looks like they can actually lift the weight you're using. And just explain to them how it's done. And you know, don't be scared of being greedy. When I do drop sets on bench press, I use 3 spots. Because if I'm my training partner, so I fail, we rack the weight. Either I lay there and he runs round and grabs that one and runs round and grabs the other one, or I get off and do one side, he does the other side. It's fucking ridiculous. It's breaking the exercise. So I re-rack the weight, and I'll have one person stood at either end just to quickly slide the weights off. Or he'll get one and somebody else will get the other. But ideally, he stays in a position so the weight can be back into the movement as quick as possible. Minimum amount of rest, maximise the intensity out of that drop set. And most guys are quite happy to just nip over and pull a couple of plates off you for 2 minutes. Doesn't kill them. It's not a big issue. It is a bit more difficult in the big commercial gyms because you don't really get to know everybody. But if not, pick on a member of staff. Then they're going to be consistent. But in the more social gyms, the more community-based gyms, more old school, I suppose, it'll be the same faces. So you'll be able to develop spotters out of the other trainers, even if you don't have a training partner. Okay, so that's that. Hopefully there's sound on this one and it hasn't fucked up again, and I'll get this up online now.